Good day, my grade 11s, and welcome to your COVID classroom. This is our second last video lesson, and today we are going to discuss the review. If you are asked to write a review, be it on a movie, a restaurant, a book, any type of review, it's a critical look at this production or the restaurant, the services there that was rendered, the food that was served, and also a book you have read, the qualities of the book, the background, the genre, the predictability, and so forth. And then you would give it a rating. There are certain criteria which we need to have a look at, which I would like for you to please write down as well. Let me just move this up a bit so that it can fit in. There we go. Now, a review is an individual and a critical response to a piece of art, film, book, event that happened, or a place. You are the individual who is critically looking at this production or the book you have read or whatever. You project his or her judgment or opinions on the work presented. Now, it is in a written form and it is a personal viewpoint. Therefore, we use the first person, I and me. And generally, it is written in the present tense. I have seen this. Okay? It is about so and so. The service is of outstanding quality. So you usually use the present tense. The tone of your writing must be used to inform or entertain the audience. So you will go and sit and plan it a bit. What will your approach be to writing this review? Then what is it? It is a judgment of the subject which is made, and also recommendations can be included. So you will read the book, you're going to judge it on its merits, okay? And then you might make recommendations. If it is a restaurant you visited, you will judge it on the service, the quality of the food, the customer service that they have there at hand, and so on. And the ambiance in the restaurant, does it feel like a family restaurant, and so on. And then you might make recommendations. Also ensure that you include relevant facts, okay, which is applicable to the restaurant or to the book or the author. That is important. People want to know who is the author of the book, okay, and the title of the book that you have read, which you are now going to discuss. Then if it is a restaurant, you will also say what is the name of the place that you went to and where is it situated. Maybe it's a new restaurant that opened up and people might want to visit it. The background on your book is also important. If you take, for example, a very well-known author like Wilbur Smith, he does thorough research on a book, sometimes for a year or two. If not longer, before he even sets his pen to paper. Therefore, some background. Where does the book's background come from? The play's background, the restaurant, if you know something about it. Is it part of a bigger franchise, etc.? If you know some background on the author, you can also include that. You always write a review in paragraphs. Like I said to you before in class, anything except a paragraph is in paragraph form. Be it an essay, a review, a newspaper article, you write paragraphs, people. Then you will use very formal language because you are now reviewing this. And you do not know the people and they do not know you. So you use formal language for your reader's benefit as well. You use adjectives and emotive words to convey your thoughts and feelings, and that is also where you will bring in that personal touch or that bit of humor that you might want to bring into your piece of writing, okay? Describing words go a long way. It is possible in a review to praise the service or the restaurant or the author for a job well done. It goes a long way for the confidence of an author if the person who critically reviews his book or his restaurant, for example, of a place, that it is acclaimed by the public and that they see it as a good piece of work. Okay. You criticize within the same review as well, but it's always good practice that to have a balance. Don't just criticize, but also mention the good points. Praise the piece of work or the restaurant or whatever as well. Comment on the technical aspects. In a play, for example, the lighting. In a restaurant as well, the sound, atmosphere, the decor. In a play, the cast, who is playing the roles, or in a movie as well. The plot. Is the plot predictable? Does it keep you on the edge of your seat? Okay. The setting. Where does it play off? Or the setting of the restaurant. Is it a good setting? You can comment on that as well. Was it well thought out? The climax in your movie or in your book, was it predictable, for example? Special effects. Do they make use of any special effects there? Stereotyping, especially for characters in a movie. If you think of Arnold Schwarzenegger, he is more or less stereotyped as the Terminator. It will be very difficult to put someone else in that part of the Terminator. You get certain people who only play in comedies. They are being stereotyped. Okay. Then give a recommendation near the end of your review, which can be either positive or negative. Okay. And then star ratings. I will give this movie 3 stars or 5 stars. It is not a necessity, but it should be used because people nowadays feel that it keeps in trend with the modern side of a review. People want to know, is this a 5-star restaurant or a 5-star movie or whatever. Right, now a movie has got certain procedures, a movie review or any review for that matter. First of all, when you write it, you will have an introduction. You will give it a heading, your name, and an outline of the subject which is being evaluated. Now I'm going to do this at the hand of a movie review, which I have copied for you. And I need to just move it up a bit more so you can see this with me. Okay, right, this movie review is The Bachelor by Barry Ronger. And there's the title, The Bachelor, the author of the review, and then a general introduction. On December holidays have been rain-drenched, our December holidays rather, wash out, but at the movies the romantic comedies are bright, sweet and sunny enough to convince you that summer is really here after all. The Bachelor is a lightweight, bubbly comedy in the same frothy league as Runaway Bride. So there they have given us a bit of an outline of it, and you have the heading and the name. Then the background information, details that will inform the reader about the history of the movie, the design features, etc. So when we go and have a look at this, it says, in fact, it might just as well have been called Runaway Bride Groom, because in this film, Chris O'Donnell plays Jimmy, a suave young man with a serious commitment problem. He is skilled at evading matrimony and has just ended the best relationship of his life because he cannot face that walk down the aisle with the delightful, sensible, pretty Anne, played by Renee Zellweger. So there we've got the background of it, who the two characters are, and what the movie is basically about. Then a summary of the movie. This is your plot. Okay, it outlines and evaluates the plot or what is happening there briefly without giving too much away about what's going to happen in the end or in your conclusion. So let's read the plot here. In this case, his timing, this is now Chris O'Donnell's timing as Jimmy, is lousy. His grandfather, played by Peter Ustinov, has made a will which promises O'Donnell a fortune, provided that he marries before his 30th birthday, which is just 30 hours away. He rushes back to Anne, the only woman he would consider marrying, but she kicks him out. Out on the streets, he finds himself pursued by a posse of former girlfriends, including Brooke Shields and Mariah Carey. The whole thing is as flimsy and fantastic as the icing on a wedding cake. But if you are looking for something with substance or intellectual depth, move on without buying a ticket. And this is all our assessment of the plot and the quality of the movie. Right, then we go on, and he carries on by reflecting on the acting. Okay, he says there, O'Donnell is handsome, bland, and inoffensive in his role. He goes through the comedy motions with presence and poise, which makes him the perfect performer for this kind of airy, meringue-like comedy. So we see that the author uses a food metaphor a lot to kind of explains how he feels about this movie. Then there's some criticism. Remember I said you will give recommendations or criticism which can be positive or negative. Unfortunately, the talented Zellweger is poorly served by this script. She is a good actress who is given little to do except play the exasperated ex-girlfriend and scrunch up her face in annoyance. Like O'Donnell, she is a warm, attractive, likable screen presence. So there he gives a bit of negative, but he balances it out with a bit of positive as well about their acting abilities. And then the ending, okay, in the ending we will see that he brings everything together. He summarizes the whole subject of The Bachelor. He says, all in all, watching The Bachelor is like tucking into white chocolate mousse. It is sweet, light, and there is not too much of it. But if you still remember any of it in 2 days, see your shrink, because you are retaining the wrong information in your memory files. I rate it 3 out of 10. So people, the crux or the final judgment, very matter of fact, the person who is doing the review or writing it feels that this movie does not have a lot of body around it, any depth, and that if you remember too much about this movie, then there's something wrong with you, because there wasn't a lot of action there that would involve debate or talking about later on at a later stage. So we have now covered the crux is the next thing. We have covered the summary of the subject, the crux of the story. We also read, it gives an overall assessment of the play. It evaluates and offers an opinion on what is being assessed, like he discussed here in the play. In the review already, when he explained the acting, the script, the plot and so forth. Be honest and balanced. He gave positive as well as negative feedback. Support your opinion with reasons. Why is the acting not good? Or why does he criticize certain elements there? And then aim at informing and entertaining. So it is entertaining. He writes it in a humorous manner, using the food metaphor as well. But in doing so, he also informs us about the movie and whether it is good to go and watch or just a silly pastime to have fun with the family. The conclusion here offered a neat ending, and it rounds it off and summarizes the findings when he says, all in all, watching The Bachelor is like tucking into a white chocolate mousse. It is sweet, light, and there is not too much of it. But if you still remember any of this movie 2 days later, see your shrink. There we have the humor, the entertaining part. You are retaining the wrong information in your memory files. I rate it 3 out of 10. So he summarized his findings, he rounded it off in a neat, concise manner. Right, now I would like you to try your hand at writing a review. In your language book at the back, please take note of the following. I'm just going to zoom in a bit again. Plan and write a review of 100 to 150 words on any book, movie, event you attended. It could be a concert or a play or whatever, or a restaurant of your choice. Do your planning and writing in the back of your language book, and then you will be guided by these notes which I have just given you. I will also take a photo and send it through to the RCL member for you to have a look at when you are busy writing your review. Basically decide how you're going to approach it. What do you want to have an extended metaphor, like in this case, the food metaphor, which they use throughout. If it is some other superhero movie, you can decide how you want to go about that. Or a restaurant, have some humor in it. I would love you to read some of your reviews when the school starts, so that we can see what you have made of this. Have fun, darlings. I can't wait to see you. Goodbye.